We're going to hit the latest around the NFL. Before we dive into that, the most comments on today's show will get a shout out on a future video. Our last winner was VR Specialist, only had 19. So 20, in theory, could get you the shout out. Flood the comment section. Type whatever you want to type, even if it's just me. Let's hit the latest on Keenan Allen. He has reportedly drawn interest, but is waiting to pick his next NFL team, according to Jordan Schultz. He tweeted this out earlier this afternoon, or maybe morning, depending on what time zone you're in. It said free agent wide receiver Keenan Allen, one of the top players left, has drawn interest from multiple teams, but he's waiting for camps to open to better assess the landscape and get a clearer picture of each team's wide receiver situation. Sometimes these reports come out and it's like, yeah, there's no interest in it at all. I actually am more inclined to buy this one for Keenan Allen. At his age, his skill set, his situation, I think there has been some interest. Not that dissimilar to what we saw with Von Miller, by the way, who, of course, recently signed with the Commanders. I don't know if Allen wants to do the full-fledged, long, expansive training camp. And when players get that age, sometimes they just don't want to practice in late July. They'll practice in late August, but not in late July. Also, there are benefits to waiting. If the market's not strong, it's probably only going to get better once injuries happen. But it assumes injuries happen, and it can be a dicey game there, and how long do you really want to wait? I also just don't think Allen's market has been very strong. If it was, he would have signed months ago for $10 million or something. His play declined in Chicago. A lot of play declined in Chicago. I don't know how much we can blame Allen for what I'll just call it a cluster was on offense last year. That thing was messy the entire time and had real issues there. So I think he's going to get a shot somewhere. When, where, what that role looks like, maybe more importantly what the money looks like, I certainly don't know at this time, but he'll get a shot somewhere. So with that in mind, who do you think ends up signing Keenan Allen? I'd still think a spot that puts him in the slot is the best situation for him. Let me know what your predictions are. Sound off in the comments of today's show. Russell Wilson named the starter by the Giants, and Brian Dable said, Dart and Winston are going to compete, but Russ is our starter. That was front page headline on ESPN and NFL.com. All the Giants reporters making a big deal out of it, which, kind of like Phillip Rivers retiring a few days ago. I thought this already happened. Of course Russ is the starter. That's the plan. That was the case the day they signed him and the day they didn't take a quarterback at number 3 overall. That, of course. This isn't a surprise. We all knew he was going to be the starter. The contracts alone laid that out. Russell Wilson, 1 year, $10.5 million. He gets more for 1 year than Jameis Winston gets over 2. Jaxson Dart's on the rookie contract. Eventually, Dart will be the starter, but they made it pretty clear from day one that they didn't have plans on Dart taking over the job for now. I do want to discuss what the longer-term outlook looks like for these 3 QBs, but my initial reaction to Russell Wilson in the starter, didn't they already do that? I kind of thought it already happened. I guess not, but I thought it was pretty obvious. More Giants quarterback talk to come, but today's NFL Daily is made possible by Ethos. As a father of one and a second on the way, trust me when I say life insurance matters. It is not fun to think about what would happen if something happened, but you do need to be prepared. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry, and it's more affordable than you might think. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process, and it's 100% online. No medical exam is required. You just answer a few health questions and get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage for them. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Link is in the comment section and the description of today's show. Ethos.com/NFL Daily. Russ is going to be the starter for the Giants. The schedule's kind of daunting early on this year. I think the question is, how long is he the starter? Like, he flamed out in Denver. Sean Payton didn't like him. He kind of ended on not the best note in Seattle necessarily. I think it's unrealistic to expect that Russell Wilson is going to fix all of the Giants' issues on offense. I don't think Russell Wilson starts every game this season. I wouldn't rule out Jameis Winston getting a start or two. As a Malik Neighbors dynasty owner, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing Jameis Winston play because he's gonna throw it a lot to Malik Neighbors. He's gonna throw it to the other team sometimes too. That's just who Jameis Winston is. He's been that guy over the course of his career. But it'll be entertaining, and it'll probably keep your receiver happy. And I think if you're rebuilding, which the Giants may or may not be doing, we'll see. It kind of depends on how the year goes. Winston's actually kind of like a decent quarterback to have because he's a great tank commander. Like, you'll win some games, you're going to lose a lot, though, too. And he'll keep your receivers happy. I think at some point this year we do see Jaxson Dart. Unless the Giants are winning a bunch of games, that regime has to show something, whether it's wins or they have the right guy. So if the Giants start losing games this year, which given the schedule is exceedingly possible, they're going to have to make the move to Dart to show ownership. We have the right guy. You have to give us more time to build around him. Otherwise, we've seen teams make this mistake before. Not to throw shade at the Bears. The Bears made it like 3 times. Draft a QB, hire a new coach. Force the new coach to have the QB. Move on from the new QB. Fire the that cycle is a bad spot to be in. Giants are actually probably better off trying to give Dable and Shane more time with Dart. So in the end, which quarterback starts the most games this year for the Giants? RW for Russ, JW for Winston, JD for Dart. Go vote in the comments. Also wanted to mention Brandon Aiyuk and maybe some cause for concern here with the Niners receiver. Here's what John Lynch, the Niners GM, said about Aiyuk. With respect to BA, he did a lot to his knee, and I would tell you that he's in a really good place considering all that. Now, what does that mean in terms of a timeline and everything? We're going to assess and get information. He did a lot of his rehab away from here. And I think when you get these guys back, there's all kinds of objective measurements that you want to do. So he'll be working on his rehab with our guys. I think we're encouraged on where he is, but not anywhere close to having a set-in-stone timeline. On one hand, I think the no timeline is a fair statement, but I also don't think it's a good thing either. Like, it was a torn ACL and MCL. That's not an insignificant knee injury to be clear. And teams always want you in the building rehabbing, but you don't really know what the timeline is at all. Like, you're not going to do a vague mid-season. You're not going to do the generic, we're never going to give timelines away. I just kind of wonder if maybe there was some frustration doing rehab away from the building. Other teams had that frustration. It just always seems to be some underlying thing with Brandon Aiyuk. Even in the best moments after last year, just some, maybe not even full-on red flags at all the way up, but just some starting to raise interest for me. So prediction, what week will Brandon Aiyuk return? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. The Niners do need the better version of Brandon Aiyuk back out there. He was awesome in 2023, but even before he got hurt, wasn't the same guy in 2024. Kind of a weird spot right now for the Niners in that wide receiver room. Aiyuk's clearly not going to be ready to begin the year. I think he's going to stay on the PUP list to start the year. Going to miss at least 4 games. Then we'll see. Ricky Pearsall is also on the PUP list, so he's not available. Jawan Jennings wants to get paid, but he at least showed up to training camp. And then there's a lot of question marks in that wide receiver room. It's an interesting time for the 49ers. I'm not saying it's a bad time, just interesting. If you have not already, help us get to 414,000 subscribers here on Chat Sports. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. Joe Mixon has been placed on the NFI list. That is the non-football injury list for the Houston Texans. He apparently suffered an ankle injury while training away from the team, which ends up being a non-football injury, even though you were training for football reasons. So, little thing of just that's worth monitoring just to see what happens on that front on the NFI list. Mixon, it's kind of funny. The numbers are very similar with what he did with the Bengals in 2023 and what he did with the Texans in 2024. Averaged 0.1 yards more per carry, more touchdowns, fewer yards on fewer carries. The way he got there was completely different. In Cincinnati, he just didn't have any big plays. In Houston, it was all big plays or nothing. Like that's probably schematic things more than anything else for Mixon. But Nick Chubb is in the building. We'll see what his full-on impact looks like coming off of another injury. Dameon Pierce is on the PUP list as well. It's just, I think J.J. Taylor's a bit banged up too. Woody Marks will be involved. Sooner Mixon gets back, the better, but I think that is just worth monitoring in Houston.